Namaste. Welcome to our 65th talk on the Bhagavad Gita. We are now on the 14th chapter, the yoga of the division of the three gunas, and after four introductory verses, we're ready to talk about the three gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. These are the names of the three qualities, characteristics, behavior, mode of energy. Sometimes they call the three modes. These gunas, born of Prakriti, bind fast in the body. By binding fast meaning you're really stuck in and tied in, and like with iron bands attached, bound to the body. These gunas born of Prakriti bind fast in the body the imperishable embodied one. In other words, as soon as we walk through the prison door, clang, that door slammed behind us, and the door is made of the three gunas. Of these, Sattva is stainless, luminous, and health-giving. In other words, Sattva can't be corrupted. It can't be degraded into something beneath itself. It's like pure gold. You can't turn it into lead. You can't turn it to silver. And if it's pure, there's no way to make it impure, because you only do that by heating an intense heat with fire. And therefore, it's come to its essential condition as a physical element, of course it is. So sattva is completely akshara. It's imperishable and unchangeable. Luminous. The quality of sattva is literally enlightening. So when the mind is sattvic, it's percepting. It is both capable of perceiving and it is perceiving. And because knowledge is also part of its character, we not only see, we know what we're seeing, or we can, by inquiry, figure it out. And health-giving. In other words, it's free from defects, and if there are defects, by its presence, it cures the defects or compensates for it. Well, actually folds up. It perfects that which is imperfect. That's a better way to put it. It binds because all three gunas bind. You can have wood manacles or iron manacles or silver manacles or gold manacles, but you're chained either way. It binds by attachment to happiness. Of course. I mean, you'd be a fool to not want to be happy. You'd be a fool to look after pain. But perverted religion tells you suffering is good for you. Mostly because since it's a worthless religion and it can't free you from suffering, it says, oh, that's good. It ennobles you. Think of the people you've known that had a lot of troubles in their lives. All they did was end up self-centered and self-pitying. Not that there aren't people who rise above it, but so it is. So we want to always be happy, and it's utterly silly because you cannot, in a relative, ever-changing world, be happy, because you're happy because of certain conditions, internally, externally, and internally and externally, it's a nature of Prakriti to always change. So in the sense it changes, you'll become unhappy, and you'll bounce back and forth. If you can get beyond the guna into your pure self, that's a whole different matter. and you stay centered there, then you can know this happiness and be even beyond that. You observe the happiness and know there's something more, something greater and higher for me to get. In other words, you're a yogi, and you not only stay a yogi, you become a better yogi. So it binds by attachment and by attachment to knowledge. No one likes to be ignorant except the ignorant, and there is such a thing as willful ignorance. But those in whom the sattvic condition, the sattva guna prevails, they are also unsettled by, repelled by ignorance, by not having knowledge. The very push for knowledge, the push for mastery of, of what we know, the expansion of both awareness, insight, understanding, and then empowerment by it. All this is sattva. All progress, all growth, all expansion, this is sattva. And of course, especially we as yogis are interested in the consciousness aspect of it. But you see, it is health giving. If what could be more tamasic than a rotten body? But we eat them all the time. A body not meant to be us, fleshly cells of a type not meant to be our type of body. We take this alien thing in it, it's already is decaying, already is degenerating. Then when we start digesting it, we break it down even more. Well, what kind of a body are we going to end up with? If you want a brick house, you've got to build it out of bricks. You can't build it out of mud bricks and just think, well, let me think and pray, and one day God will turn it into baked bricks. Then one day it'll be stone. One day it may even be gold. It doesn't work that way. So, we we have to then use that knowledge. We have to be attached to the knowledge that make that a springboard, that we can go higher. But unfortunately, this sattva is something that evolved and developed, and there's something less developed right underneath it. That is rajas. No, rajas nature is passion, but by passion it means a stirring up, a desire, a yearning, a motivation of I've got to get it, not passion in the sense of romance passion. But it's also attachment, and it means a real liking for it, a thirsting for it, a yearning for it, arising from thirst and attachment. Having had it, we want more. There's actually on YouTube a video that shows a little baby, a little tiny baby, tasting ice cream for the first time. It's really quite amazing. Sorry, I don't know how to tell you to, but you might say baby tasting ice cream for the first time. And the appearance, the expression that comes over that baby's face is really remarkable and shows a level of experience and reaction that you and I think wouldn't be developed in the infant, but is right there. So it arises from thirst, thirst and attachment. It binds fast the embodied one by attachment to action. There are people, they're always going like this. Okay, they talk, you're talking and chewing in. They never stop moving. They never stop moving. This is rajas. And rajas being extreme, but well, frankly, human beings are extreme. So they can't sit still. They have to be looking here and there, or they've got to be doing, well, I got to be doing something with my hands, they say. I remember, I think I've mentioned before, a friend of mine was going to be fitted for a dress that had been custom made for her by a local seamstress. This was in Los Angeles. And I went along with her. I can't think why she asked me, but anyway, I went along with her. So we went in. There was this seamstress's living room, and there was this young man sitting there with a girl. I assume they were, boyfriend, girlfriend, and she must also be coming for some kind of fitting or so on. And he come along with her. So my friend and the seamstress went off for her to put it on and try it. So I learned to do japa. So I'm sitting there very happily just doing japa and contented. And the man shifts and shifts. Finally says, well, we just can't just sit here and not know each other. And being a yogi, of course, I was more intellectual, but he didn't say, what do you mean by no? But I thought, why? We'll never see each other for the rest of our entire lives. But he could not be fiddling and also fiddling mentally. He had to say, hi, my name is so and so. What is you? Why do you know what you're doing here? And how are you? On and on and on. Idle minded, utterly, but jittery minded because they can't stand still and stay still in the mind lest they begin to see the truth of themselves. That's why there's elevator music. There are people who they are developed and conscious to such a degree that if they get quiet, they start discovering what they lack and sometimes what's wrong with them. And they don't like that. So I don't like the ugly face in the mirror, so I break the mirror. So there has to be something to distract them. Get in the car, turn on the radio, any kind of nonsense going on. But there's got to be something that they're hearing that's pulling them out from the center. That's tragedy. I'm not condemning these people. I'm not saying they're not bad people. They are trapped. But sad to say, they're trapped by the drawing outward rather than by trapped by something inward. Because the truth is, the true inward thing doesn't entrap you, it sets you free. So Rajas, you see, has people attached. Again, I got to do something. I like to keep learning. Oh, I'm like the fish that keeps swimming. Yeah, fine. But it is domination. It's not freedom. And it's not coming from free will. It's coming from addiction. All right, next verse. Know indeed that Tamas is born of ignorance. Well, they say ignorance is bliss. And it's true. If you're unaware of a lot of things, you don't have to worry about it. If you don't know about anything you need, you don't have to search for it or want it. So ignorance is a kind of peacefulness. Of course, the truth is it's death. And there are people who talk about attaining peace by death because they don't know any other way. They're perfectly good people, but they say, oh, well, at the end of life, then you sleep. Nobody sleeps. Then, in fact, when you leave your body, you'll never sleep again until you come back into your next body. From then on, you are awake and you are aware and you cannot stop it. Know indeed that Tamas is born of ignorance, deluding all embodied ones. There's no one not touched by it. Those who think they're not touched by it are deluded by it, you see, because ignorance is a product of tamas. And not knowing your condition, well, it's ignorance. All of those who are embodied, they fall into this. Somebody bumps into you, say, hey, that's me. Well, isn't me. Even the deputy yogi will say, he slapped me. No one can slap you. But we don't say he slapped my face, my body. Because this does own it in a way, but it's gotten haywire. It's like a horse that's gotten out of control and is running off with the rider. So it binds by distraction. I've got to have something to do, and I've got to all the time. There are people, they walk in the house, they turn on the television set, and then they go around. I know women that do their housework, they're off in the other rooms, and the television is blatting or background music is going. They can't see it, they don't know what's going on. Now, back in the old days of radio, which I, as a relic, yearn, uh, well, women did their housework and they followed the story of the soap opera. And so that was fun. Of course, it was distraction because the work was boring. But unfortunately, people get so addicted to this distraction that they are not objective and they don't look around and don't look at themselves and they don't see. Again, you and I have a higher purpose, we have a higher meaning. And so, in a sense, they are therefore asleep. By distraction, laziness, not wanting to do anything, again, the thing I've mentioned frequently of the cartoon of the bum lying in the gutter saying to the Salvation Army lady bending over him, can you save me here or do I have to go somewhere? So there are people so resistant to change, it's amazing. So resistant that they don't even read. They don't read magazines, even. Maybe they read a little bit of a newspaper, but they don't even want to understand what's going on. Uh, they're sort of like this woman who was obviously on heavy downer drugs that when I was a long distance telephone operator, uh, I handled person to person calls. So this someone wanted a call through this place, and it was a facility of some kind. So anyway, my supervisor was training me, so she was listening to it. So the phone rang, and this voice said, "Hello," and I said, "I have a person-to-person call for such and such. Are they there?" "I don't know." I thought, well, maybe we got the wrong number. I said, "Well, what is the number? What is the number there?" "I don't know. I never look at the telephone." So the supervisor signaled and we ended the call. And she said, well, she was feeling no pain. The thing is, the poor woman wasn't feeling anything, which was sad. But to be totally asleep. And St. Paul talks about this. And he says, many among you sleep. And there are those whose soul is totally asleep. It doesn't matter what happens. Nothing will wake them up. Nothing will get them to think of higher things. There are some people they do when they're in trouble. When the trouble ceases, then that's all gone. But most people, no. Most people don't even realize death is coming for me. I'm going to be kicked out of this body. Where am I going to go? Is there a place to go? What will happen? No, no preparation at all. The Greeks have a very good parable about a man that knew he was going to get in trouble with the local ruler ultimately, and he would be exiled, and he knew where he would be exiled to. So he started sending like packages of things, clothing, this and that, even imperishable food. And so he just kept a trickle of this going to where he knew he'd one day be condemned to exile. And then when he did get condemned and told, get out, well, he just went over there and he had everything he needed. He'd sent it ahead. And so the thing is, if you're wise, you send your sins ahead. That is, you dispel them, you get rid of them, you dissolve them. And you do this with all your ignorance. But also, you keep up, the Bible says, lay up treasures in heaven. This is the heaven, where the superconscious consciousness is, and where these higher faculties we call siddhis also dwell. And so we put the energies all continually. We're bathing this brain with the divine spiritual energies of soul hum in time with the breath. We intone mentally soul when we inhale and hum when we exhale. And so we soak this, we imbue it with divine consciousness, because back to what I've said so many times, in the very beginning, the great Purusha, the Supreme Being said, Soham Asmi, I am Soham. So this is the real awakening. This is a real resurrection. And those who sleep don't even know it's there. And those who are half asleep, they say, oh, I can't be bothered now, I'm alone. And so it is. Which also means when people are in that state, leave them alone. Love them and leave them, truly, in the sense of don't bother them. I don't mean you have to never associate with them, but let it be. Sattva causes attachment, and this is the attachment you and I want, to happiness, because that makes us want to get away from unhappiness. And first of all, we find there's certain conduct that brings suffering, that brings misery. There was a song I used to know, you can't do wrong and get by. You think you're having fun drinking booze, getting drunk, passing out, but you're not, because you're destroying your brain cells constantly this way. You're actually killing your capacity for life. You're not living, and you're not happy. You're a fool. So you can laugh and, oh, wasn't that fun? We got to do this again some other time. If you're wise, you'll never do it again another time. So nicotine, oh, it calms me down. It doesn't calm you down. It kills you. It kills your perceptions. It kills your moral sensitivity. That's the real truth. Never make friends with an addict. This is advice I have for you. And that means people that smoke cigarettes and people that drink alcohol. I don't care if they're not drunks. An addict ruins their will. They hand their will over to an external force. Well, I just got to have a drink to settle my mind. Now and again, I've known people who do this. They do this deliberately. Okay, they had to quit smoking. So they put themselves in a state where they get all upset and they say, oh, I gotta have a cigarette. See? And then they kept the addiction. Their will is nil, which means if you're ever in a situation where you really need help, or you just need moral support, you won't get it from them because they have no support for themselves. They have no will. So they're valueless as friends. I really mean that. They're valueless. Now you do what you want. But this I will tell you, I have through the years noticed that when I saw an addict, I think, well, I like them and I'd like to be friendly to them. But we can never be friends in a sense of what a friend is to be. So that's enough. Got a little over the time. So thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And I hope we'll meet